Hello and welcome to the Stampscapes test lab. I have this scene stamped out into a reflection card format. I've done a lot of scenes like this before, so I just stamped it out. Pre-recording here, you can see my upper area here. Art foamy stamp right here for some decent sized scale. And then the smaller, I call it smaller, but for a rubber stamp, this is a pretty big design right here. The winter ash tree. Boulders of lichen down here, and the sedge filler. Some of the stamps that I use quite often. And then we have this open water area down here with a piece of half-page silver metallic mirrored cardstock to really create a nice reflection like this. I love the look of that right there, but I wanted to add in some extra dynamics in here. So we're going to add glow-in-the-dark printable vinyl sticker paper elements into the scene. I was going to do it just down here, but I thought I would do it up top here. So I stamped out part of my figure here over the top of a full moon. And again, this is a printable glow-in-the-dark vinyl sticker paper. And what we'll do is we'll apply this right here. We'll have to kind of link these up a little bit more. But for the most part, this is how this goes right here. So we'll approach it like that. But that moon, in turn, will have a glowing effect. That being said, I think I'll trim off a little bit of this lower outline down here just to make it integrate a little bit more into the scene. There's this little bit of a line. If I can get some of that trimmed off down below. I want it to be like a, what do you call that, lineless stamping. For the most part, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it'll help with the integration, I think. And then, of course, when we turn off the lights, it'll have a nice little, I don't know, kind of a hidden effect if people don't know about this glow-in-the-dark element in here. Sometimes the hardest thing about doing one of these scenes is separating that, whatever that that paper that the vinyl's on. But that means it's a really aggressive type of vinyl, which is good. Okay, let's see if I can get this here. I'll try to line this up pretty good right here. Okay, now that's really affixed down there pretty good. Let's see what that looks like down there. And then say when we flip off the lights, that since you're doing it in a reflection card format, you'll get that extra element. I think this looks pretty cool just as seen up here like that too, so you don't have to add this element in here, but look how that does to the piece like that. Okay, now I have these new floral kind of glowing orbs down in here. And then look at this little element like that. Isn't that cool? But that'll be glowing down here in this water. Now I'm going to position this where I'm not putting it over the top of this woman's head too much. Okay, let me see where this is going to go. Right about right here. That'll be kind of a safe area. You can see her reflection of her head right down there in the lower corner. So something like that would probably be it. I'll put it way over here though, just to be pretty safe. I don't know, I didn't preconceive where I was going to place all these. But I thought I would just wing it here towards the end. Let me make sure. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I stamped these out onto the printable vinyl sticker paper, glow-in-the-dark sticker paper with this ink called Brilliance ink. Okay, I'll put this right here. Let's go about right here. This one's a little bit smaller. There's a large, medium, and small little orb. And you can have these things floating in the water, or they can, always check right here. They can be floating on the water, or you can put them like a landscape like this up here too. Now, if I put them up here, I'd probably put them in a little bit of an area that was a little bit more lighter, so you can see the silhouette of these forms a little bit more. But you know, you can put them wherever. But look at that glowing little aspect. It's not even glowing in the dark, but look at those kind of cool elements in that water. It's like they're floating on the surface. Those are those little things. I mean, I didn't have these types of elements. I wasn't thinking about these types of things before, but it's like, I don't know, doing little things like adding fireflies into the scenes, extra little elements of illumination into the landscape. I started thinking about that at some point in time, using metallic papers, reflective things, glow in the dark elements. And then I came out with this group of lanterns in the last previous release to this. And that really, I don't know. It just seemed to open so many doors of possibilities. It's like it's always cool to have a moon or a, you know, something like that, a sun in a scene, stars, light sources basically. And this is just, when we add things like this, it just, I don't know, it's like you can put, you know, whatever, 5, 10 of those. You might not put 5 moons into a scene. I mean, it, you know, it wouldn't represent something on Earth, but you can do that. But you know, from a, I don't know, whatever, realistic, or if we're referencing realism, you wouldn't really have that. But with something like this, it's just, you know, it kind of makes sense to do that. You know, people do, you know, they add like pool lights, floating solar little, you know, cool little lights in there, swimming pools, or you can put lighting into your landscape with you know, little lanterns or path lights, you know, stuff like that. And it looks really cool. Look at that right there. And I'll put maybe one right over here. I just started cutting out some of these. I thought, it looks like about the right amount. So again, I didn't really plan anything out here in terms of specifically. I'm just kind of spacing this out for what I had like that. But anyways, there you go, like that. See those lanterns down there? Doesn't it add kind of an extra little element? It adds to the mirrored aspect, even though you're covering up. It looks like they're floating on the surface, so I think it adds that extra kind of three-dimensional element that reiterates that this is a, you know, body of water right here. Okay, now one of the things before I forget is that this lady is partly stamped onto cardstock. By the way, that's a semi-gloss cardstock. And up here is this vinyl sticker paper, so they don't actually match. It's not too much. You can see it, you know, she's the color of that vinyl up there. I mean, I didn't want to really stamp her out and then cut her out and then place her on the top, but I could have. I thought I would just do this. I thought I would just bring some of this white of the paper up into her dress right here. Not coloring it up, you know, completely, but I'd bring some of this white like this up into it so that she integrates a little bit more. And then when it's glowing in the dark, she won't just be like absolutely, I don't know, whatever, glow in the dark green color, okay? And And there's some little highlights on her. It's okay to have, you know, some of her, this glow-in-the-dark color on them, because if the moon's a certain color, it's casting that light, that color of light down onto, you know, the landscape or any of the forms down here. So, you know, they don't have to be like completely different colors, you know, with absent of, you know, the source of light color like that. But anyways, there we go, like that. And then one of the things I did on her dress, I put this kind of little bluish tinge to that. And what I'll do is I'll come up and color some of my white pigment ink that I just colored down here. Let me see if this is that same color that I used. I think it is. So I'll just bring some of this color right up in here, like so. I think this is actually a darker one that I used. All right. A couple different blues in there. I like to mix my colors just so it's not potentially a little anemic looking. Okay, now see these little blossoms right up here? And then I put some on my rocks down here. It could be highlights, but I don't know. I see it as like these little petals kind of falling down in here. We have our lights down in the water, which are reiterating this reflective type of quality. But what I'll do is I'll bring in, this is, I used a 3mm, you know, pretty bulky pen for these blossoms up top here. This is, you know, pretty large scene, so I didn't use my 0.7mm. That's a little bit small. I mean, you can do it. I did it for a long time, but then when I got a bigger pen, it's like, it's so much better. But I'm going to put some of these little floating blossom petals down here into my water. I kind of group them because, you know, little water has kind of these little currents to it, so they kind of group like that. But you can see like that in there. So you're bringing this same type of form down in here. Yeah, it kind of creates a little bit of a, what do you call, visual continuity between the areas. Just in terms of them having, you know, a similar shape, or in this case, form, contrast, like that. I'm looking at it now, and you can always make kind of little adjustments here. That was a little bit too much right there. I'm going to wipe off some of that paint in a couple little areas right here. Went a little bit too far. But it stays wet or damp for a little bit of time, so it gives you time to kind of wipe off some of it. Try to do it before it dries, though. Let's see, here, like that. I'm wiping it off. It's like, that stands out. It stands out a little bit too much. I think that looks pretty good. It makes sense for it to have a little bit more over here, closer to the tree that's dropping the petals right into the, you know, the water too. A little cotton ball for your petal eraser. Yeah, that looks good, I think. All right, let's take a look and see what that looks like. I'll probably stamp some kind of quote right here, like moonlight is sculpture or something like that, and then people would open this up. Call this a reflection card when you have that mirrored area down like that, and then when someone opens this up, it's like this. And it's like it's a whole other world because it's really three-dimensional. It's like a little movie set or something like that, or maybe not movie set, like a stage or something like that. And then it has its own lighting too, which is really fun. Okay, let's take a look at this and see what it looks like in the dark. I'm going to hold this up to my light, studio lights right now. Okay. It charged up a little bit. I didn't charge it up too much, but we'll see if we can see what this kind of looks like in the dark. Let me see if I get this positioned right here so you can see it at the, kind of 45-degree angle. It's probably the most ideal for viewing. Something like that. All right, let's see. Let's start switching off some lights here. It looks pretty dramatic, just like that. Okay, oh my god, look at that. That looks so cool. It's really magic. Look at these extra little, floating lanterns like that on the water. Isn't that fun? And look at those little blossoms up there. You do that in the white paint like that. That's really cool. Fun stuff. You're probably saying, leave them off. We like it in the dark better. All right, won't turn the lights on all the way so you can get a little bit. It's kind of dim in here, but you can kind of, I don't know. I guess you can't see it glowing, but like even in this light like this little lantern's down here. Boy, that looks kind of nice like that. Here, let's turn the lights back on here. Okay, so to make your things kind of glow, now I really like the look of these things when you just stamp them out on like colored paper as well. But see that little glowing look to it like that? What you do is you stamp these out in your glow-in-the-dark sticker paper. Again, use a water-based media, okay? I would go with the Brilliance pigment ink because it's thicker. But what you do is you stamp them out like this. And then what you do is you take an alcohol pen, and I did this little perimeter area of the orb. I'm going to do it on these orbs down here on the perimeters like this. So you hit it with some kind of color. If you want to go with a different color scheme, you can too. These ones look really cool in like pinks and blues and all kinds of things like that. But you leave the center area light like that, okay? But now if you look down here, it's kind of frosted looking, right? Same thing up in this moon like that. What you do is you switch off now to the white pigment ink. And with a Q-tip, I just took a Q-tip. I don't know where my Q-tip went. But what I did was I inked it up with my white Brilliance ink. And what I did was I came back in here and dabbed around in here a little bit, right around on some of these edges. And that's how you get that glowing look. So it just inherently has this soft glow to it. You don't have to do that, but right in here I did that. And then you see that area in there where it's a little bit lighter? I hit that area. It was all completely black with some white pigment ink. So it just gives it a little bit of more of a glowing look. So you kind of make things illuminated, but you can also make it textural too. If you want to have like a soft light. And I think that soft light amongst all of these crisply stamped images, when we're stamping things, I often say this, but we're stamping everything really very crisply, you know, because you want your images to be stamped out nice and crisp. You don't want them to be stamped out blurry. But the thing is, from a textural standpoint, it's often nice to have soft elements somewhere. It could just be a little star or something. One star even looks pretty cool. But little glowing fireflies or something like that look really nice. So these little elements like this kind of soften the edge, and it makes it look like it's even glowing even more. It looks like it's illuminated a little bit more when you add some of that white pigment ink back in there. So anyways, pretty fun stuff. And yeah, if you have any questions, drop me a note. Fun with, I don't know, whatever, landscape lighting elements, you know, to add extra, kind of, I don't know, visual intrigue. And is just an excuse to add in other lighting elements right on the surface of your, you know, forest floors or anything like that, or in waterways or pools or ponds or anything like that. And it's really adds a nice little touch. Okay, thanks again for watching.